an introduction, like a intro song. Da-da-da-da-da. Hi guys.
Well, you just did it because we were live. Thanks for the introduction, Kendra.
I try.
Good morning, everybody. Candid Chicken Show here.
Candid Chicken.
So, as you can see from the title, we're going to talk about Jesus, our inner judgment, our inner world, and how that influences our energy.
Yeah.
So, Kendra, would you like to share anything on that? Oh, you wanted to give closure from last week. Oh, that's what it was. You wanted to give closure on something last week that
I've noticed a theme so far with our shows. I say something and then I have to give closure the next week.
That's great.
Correction. Yeah, it's perfect. But last week I made a comment and I said that Jesus will only get me so far. And I feel like I just want to give closure on that. My understanding, my perspective of Jesus, it's not that Jesus changed because, he's the same yesterday, today, and forever, but I've continued to grow in my journey with my understanding, researching, and my relationship with Jesus. And it has continued to change and evolve the more that I grow and learn and read. And when I said that Jesus will only get me so far, that Jesus was connected to my thoughts of if I did something wrong, I was going to be tortured or punished. That Jesus lined up a lot with, fearful of getting in trouble, fearful of making the wrong choice, eternal conscious torture. So that's what I meant by that Jesus. I just wanted to clarify and give closure on that.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, we've concluded in those areas that that's what's happened, that Jesus came to appease an angry God and sacrificed his firstborn.
Yeah. If God couldn't look at me without the blood of Jesus, then how could I go within and look at me? You know what I mean? How could I go within? You said that I'm dirty and I'm all these things. So I feel like that kept me trapped and stuck for a long time. I even had breakthrough with you the other day at Walgreens. Like, not to jump in, but kind of to jump into the inner judgments. I didn't realize that so often I had well, what if this happens? Or what if this happens? Or what if this happens? Loop playing in my mind. And I don't know if that's part of the PTSD, that I was diagnosed with once upon a time, and all of that. So I'm not sure on that, to be honest. I just know that I found it, right? So if I'm seeing it, I know it's on its way out. Hallelujah. So I thought something, it was really comical actually, because usually I catch it and then I just kind of giggle about it, and then it goes away for, until next time. But this time it was, well, what if this happens? And I just said, well, I'll trust God. But it was different because I was like, I'll trust God and I'll trust God in me. I'll trust the God in me. And I was like, whoa, in the middle of the bread aisle or wherever we were at in Walgreens, because it was such a new, I know I've said it, but it hit different this time. And I was just like, whoa. And it brought me new levels of peace and freedom.
Yeah, I think when we think about what it is we are walking through, what we are learning, how far does it go?
Yeah.
Does it hit your senses? Does it, okay, so we have knowledge, but that energy, that becomes an energy, that becomes a resource, a source that influences our expression. Does it hit what we see? Does it hit how we hear? Faith comes by hearing. There's a mechanism there that faith stirs up, or you get intentional about something. And does it affect our speech? How deep does it go? That's why I love the word conclude. We don't conclude, because it's like, wait a minute, we may get a revelation where we see something, but then we hear something, but then we, there's just so many layers, we're interdimensional, multidimensional beings.
Yeah.
So it's not a one size fits all. It's many sides. Just like there's many people and we all carry a fractal of the Father's heart that none of us know, but through each other, when they align with who they are on the inside, when that revelation and that knowledge and the privilege of being love, when it hits all those senses and it hits all those expressions, and it, wholeness and is health. Wholeness is we think health, we want to be healthy, but really wholeness is the fullness of that. Yeah. We want to be wealthy, but freedom is the fullness of that. Because really, I think you want to be able to do what you want to do. You want to go on vacations with your family. You want to be able to, provide for your family, and you know what I'm saying. Like there's freedom in that. So it's like, how far does Jesus go? How far does Jesus Christ, that glorified one, the one that saw how much the Father loved him, even to the point of death. Yeah. It was like death couldn't even hold him, because it was like he knew who he was. He knew the energy. Hey, good morning, Brian. He knew that energy couldn't be destroyed. It's only transformed. So that's why we don't conclude. Brian was actually the one that taught us that word, highlighted that word of not concluding.
Yeah.
And that has affected my life, and it still affects my life. That's what helps bring me peace, that I don't have to be so dogmatic. Yeah. So like, I'm stuck here and I'm not moving. No, we could be anchored within to the Christ within us and move and flow, get from point A to point B, move within the family dynamics, being free and emanating the love, the joy, the peace, because there is a worldwide division going on, that right now we have this Dante, I don't know, I guess a black guy was killed and he wasn't armed or something like that. We got like that going on, riots and looting. Like, I don't really know too much of what's going on over there, but it's causing division, and they put a curfew on us the other night, and I get it, because they're trying to prevent building damage or whatever. But there's a lot of emotions, a lot of Black Lives Matter and this and that, and I get that, but I can't conclude just that. All lives, each life matters, and it goes deeper than that. That's such a isolated statement. Going down into the heart and going down into the energy of who, what, when, where, why. And I know this is like probably triggering people when it comes to like going to the heart. When it, going to the heart level and realizing on a humanity level how connected we are, how one we are.
Yeah.
I hear we want to be loved too. We are human too. We're equal too.
Yeah.
But those layers have to release, those triggers, those layers have to come forward to look at it. Okay, what are we going to do with this? And someone gets to shine, in that area, or, I don't fully understand. I understand emotionally, but, and I understand politically. I understand on so many levels, but how this is persisting, how this is going, we're dealing with people. We're dealing with an inner judgment. We're dealing with inner inner worlds, and this is revealing where people are at. There's a lot of separation, and there's a lot of division, and really Papa God wants to show us how loved we are, how in union we are, but it comes through these things coming forward. And the chemical oxytocin is a bonding chemical. It's a long-term bonding chemical. Well, that gets released in the trauma. And then when you're able to be there for a person, there's a bonding there. When you're able to help bring peace and mirror love and mirror those things of who they are through their trigger. And so when we do that, there's a chemical bond in that process. Well, some people don't know. They don't know who they are. They don't, we've got all these layers and these dynamics, but it starts within. How do we see ourselves? How do we, for me, at a heart level, I just keep seeing in the northern area, I keep trying to just blanket love over that area to calm the emotions and come back to who we are, because really it's about releasing what is trying. I learned about a dampening field, or a damping field, where it's purposely done to put pressure on your field so that you can't emanate who you are. So all these illusions, all these ideas come in, and it pokes it, because a lot of people don't know who they are. They easily influenced, and easily grab on, and it stirs up an emotion. And, unless you're tapped in to who you are and understanding energetically that, that there's an awakening process, but God uses that. Mm-hmm. Good morning, Trisha. Good morning, sister. Yeah, so you were mentioning it's triggering you. Like, what say you?
Okay. So with Kyle Cease and that learning, even as Brian, I'm like, where do I want to start? As Brian has said, the not concluding and being aware of the fact that we were sent as Jesus is sent. We are, not to lay our lives down in the sense that we need to be crucified and all of that, but that we've, put on all of these veils. We chose to walk this situation so that we can unfold love, right? So the more that we continue to learn and grow and meditate, we're releasing new vibrations, new energies over areas. And Kyle C says a lot when things come up and the triggers, instead of, before I would, oh no, I rebuke that. Oh no. And I would just, nope, that ain't coming in here. Nope, not having that thought process. So me doing this is essentially the same as me just shoving it down, because I'm like, nope, you're not worthy to look at. And I was exiling parts of me that were screaming for attention unknowingly, right?
Yeah.
So Kyle C says, and it makes sense, if we're sent as unconditional love, then let me be a space for unconditional love and not hold judgments in those areas. Yeah. So as these things come up, I've just been saying, okay, I love that I'm triggered in this area. I love, I was driving home. I love that I'm scared of big semis. I love that. You know what I mean? Like, just if all these things, and racism really, really, really triggers me, as it should, right? Because it's disturbing. It's not okay to say that anyone is superior to anybody else. All of us are on the same, we're the same. I'm not better than anybody and no one's better than me. And I've walked a really heavy journey in racial separation. I'm going to try my hardest not to cry right now. in racial separation and racial like profile, like all of these things. And it's really, really heavy. But I've just been sitting in, okay, I love this. I'm not going to oppose it anymore, because when you oppose it, you're still feeding it your energy. And now that I'm aware of that, that's continuing to allow the battle and the frequencies, allowing it to continue. So I've just been sitting in this place of, I love this, and I love this, and I love that, and it's really, really been freeing me. And still it's hard,
Yeah.
and trying not to conclude and have opinions.
Yeah, the whole that was perfectly said. It's when you were talking about loving, it's like we forget to love ourselves. We forget to love it. Really, what it is, we think loving that is a license to sin, but really it's kind of like a mom holding their child when their child is stuck in these emotions.
Yeah.
That's really what's going on the inside, but it's the Christ, it's Jesus, however you picture it. It could be a mom and daughter, father, son. It could be Jesus holding me. It could be me holding myself. It could be me holding my younger me.
Yeah.
However, God knows where that pain and who can console that area.
Yeah.
For me, in the last 2.5 years, it's been Jonathan. It's been him taking my, all me processing through all of my shit, all this stuff that I had experienced, like thinking this isn't my fault, or I don't know how this got in here. I don't know how that belief got in here. So those inner judgments, I had to take a bold step and just, like, this is where I'm at. This is my thought process.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes he's just like, I don't know what to do. Because it ain't him. It's a past, it's a past thing, a past conclusion, a past experience that's not him. Yeah. And I noticed none of that hooks into him. And he just stands there and he just loves me through it. Like I'm a safe space to say all this stuff and feel all these things, feel these insecurities. No one wants to be vulnerable about insecurities, but I freaking go there anyways because I've seen it work for the other stuff that wasn't my fault. And then I'm like, this is my responsibility on my thought processes, on what I'm emanating, and the freedom that I could allow or not allow within me or anybody else. So releasing, and even sometimes like something that maybe you put out there, maybe, well, I won't go there yet because I don't fully understand all of that, but how we entangle can be freeing or it can be bondage. Is it trauma bonding? Is it common enemy bonding? Is it, really checking yourself, really checking your inner, what are you believing? What are you truly standing on? And I had to really, process through those places and get clear on my intent. Okay, why am I feeling this way? What is this revealing? And sometimes, I don't want to let that go because what if this happens? And then you just like start like, because it happened in the past. So you're just like, well, shit, like, I can't hold on to this. I can't. Once it's revealed, the Holy Spirit heals. So I started to experience healing, and I started to fight for it. And I started to like want to build up justifying holding on to this. And then Jonathan made a comment that we just busted up laughing because he calls me on my shit. He calls it. It's not necessarily, he just calls it because he knows what's going on with me. But it took time to him to get to know me and process through that he's not in trouble. Like the male female, the marriage dynamic of how we understand each other. Sometimes we miss each other because I'm speaking from the heart, the feminine, and he's speaking from the masculine, the outward world. I'm speaking from the inward world, and we're like, where are we connecting? And so we had to like learn the communication style, and along that process, it was learning that he's not in trouble. So he can now hold this posture, just like understanding, okay, following me because my world is deep. As a woman, I know, have you seen that Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage?
I don't think so.
He explains the female brain and the male.
Oh, Mark
brain,
Younger, yeah. I think so.
Like,
yeah. Spaghetti
so
brains and waffle brains?
No, he didn't use that reference, but that's fascinating. But it was like we were like those wire sponge things, like we're wired, everything's connected to a feeling. We can connect this over there and just connect in a crazy way, right?
Yeah,
that's me. And then what dimension are we looking from?
Yeah.
What energy? What is it? My eyes? Is it my inner eyes? Is it my ear eye? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like he's like trying to keep up with me. He's like, what's going on? Like, what is that? Like, where are we? Oh, just yeah. So
he's amazing.
He is like I love his heart. He's so innocent. Like he's so pure and just. I even had to learn to see that. Oh, there's somebody here. I'll let Ruby get that. Or you know what? Hold on. I'll be right back.
Sure. Yeah. Man, this whole being there for one another and mirroring things and I know for me, I had a hard time going inward, like she's talking about, and facing those judgments and those conclusions that I've had. And that's where I'm really, really grateful for, my tribe, like different people calling and, this is kind of what I'm going through, and them mirroring peace. And it allows that, peace to come and allow me to face those things, and knowing that I'm not facing it by myself. And we can either laugh about it when I'm done, cry about it, hug it out. I know Brian's done that for me. Jessica's done that for me. Trisha and her husband, Tony, have done that for me. Christina and Jonathan. Like, I'm so grateful. The list could go on and on. Jim and Brandy. There's so many people that have been a vital part of me being able to go within and face those judgments that I didn't even know was there. I keep getting triggered in this and I don't know why. And, and someone just, asks just the right question. Oh, there it is. That's how I feel. And, like I said, for a long time, I didn't want to go within to look at things. I didn't, because I was afraid,
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. I was just filling in, like, I'm thankful for the mirrors, for people to be able to go with me to journey and ask the right questions and mirror freedom in areas and allow me to go within and just sit with me and my emotions and,
Yeah. It's really hard to process when somebody's judging you and you could feel it.
Heck
and
yeah.
You're just like, and that's the energy that it's like it infiltrates your mind. You're like, I don't know if I'm saying this right. I feel this shame and guilt and condemnation because it's like you're not measuring up. Like it's just crazy dynamic. And that unfortunately has crept in the church in how we even see ourselves, like on so many levels, that it's almost like a inner prison, an inner jail cell that we don't realize that's limiting us.
Yeah.
And God is like, you're safe to figure it out. You're safe to grow when, oh my gosh, I'm not. It's it's an inner perspective. Oh my gosh, I'm not measuring up. Oh, I'm supposed to do this. I got to do this. So it's this looping cycle where you're not getting anywhere, as opposed to, okay, I'm feeling this right now. Jesus, I'm thankful you love me. Papa God, I'm thankful you created me. It's my nature to, whatever it is. It's such an inner shift of this guilt, condemnation, shame, feeling stuck, and all the fruit of that, right? As opposed to just admitting and just allowing unconditional love. Like we teach that, right? God is unconditional love. But if you don't do this, he'll send you to hell. Like, which is it? Right. The energies don't match. The expression doesn't match.
Yeah.
So that's where, on a heart level, I got it right away, because I always knew a good father, and I knew it's better than we think. God turns it all around for his good. And, as a parent, if my kid wants, goes and runs into a busy street, am I going to let him just go run and not intervene? Like, oh, well, you decided that, shame on you. No, I'm going to intervene. I'm going to, grab my kid, probably spank them, and talk to them and explain why. And this whole punishment, like even, with my kids, there's a excitement. There's kind of a double emotion there. I'm sad my kids aren't here with me, but I'm excited they're going to be back with me. Like, and I know who's watching. I know who's snooping in on me, and that's okay. Like, I'm a person. I'm their mom. Nothing changes that. Right. Nobody's opinion. Right. So, with my kids, because I've known so much guilt, condemnation, shame, and that's that inner judgment, right? Because we think God is this way, so therefore I am. So it affected my expression in certain areas.
Yeah.
And when it comes to my kids, I was like, man, I don't want them to feel this. And so God taught me a different way to get behind those beachheads, get behind those watchful dragons, those trigger points, and just get behind there. And love does that, because love is who we are. Love is that, meeting point, energy point, like love touches love, and it's seeing the gold. It's, I know you're in there, even though I'm seeing this expression right now. And nobody can resist that love, It's like getting your favorite meal or getting something you wanted and you receive it. Well, love is that way when it's genuine, when it's correct. So with my kids, I just would, and a lot of that is mirroring who they are when they are not feeling it, and just allowing, like, you're really feeling that, aren't you? Like, and just, being able to just be unshakable, unmovable, and happy and joyous. Emma, my youngest, she just sent a paragraph of all these tears and crying and sad and all these emotions. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I miss you. I want to see you, and all this stuff. And I just mirrored. I said, you're safe. Go in your heart. I said, I'm there. I'm here. I'm there and here. And I just be me, how she knows me to be. And then she's like, I am in your heart. You're in my heart. And just speaking all this language, right? And she was good. Yeah. She's good. There's literally no separation between us. Yeah. So that's that quantum entanglement, that there's no separation between me and my daughter. There's no separation between me and the Father, because he's in you, Kendra. He's in all of our viewers, everyone who's hanging out with us. We're all in this field together on a quantum level, feeling. And So yeah,
On that whole quantum level thing, we were listening to David Hawkins. Noelle sent both of us a book. I wish I had it right
thank you,
here. Yeah, I
Noelle.
don't. Yes, thank you, Noelle. Oh, nope, that's not it. Just kidding. I got excited. She sent us a book called Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins. So we've been going in and listening to, man, that book was so deep and so rich, and pulling out all of these other little things, the map of consciousness, the, what else were we listening to? Kinesiology, just a little bit of everything. Letting Go is another one of his really popular books. And through listening to him in one of his seminars, he said, all cows are the same. And he was like, all cows energetically. And for the first time, I understood it in such a way that I was able to like see it in the quantum field, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And when he said all cows are the same, they're all the same essence. Like there's just a cow essence, and it manifests in this realm, in this matrix, right? As the each cow may look different. I'm not saying that every cow is exactly the same, but energetically, genetically, it's all the same. And then he was talking about orange tabby cats. All orange tabby cats are exactly the same. And when he said that, all of a sudden I was like, whoa, God gave us the Christ. Like we're not identifying with the old Adam anymore. We're not identifying with that. Now it's all the Christ. He gave his one and only begotten son, the Christ, to all of us. So now we're all expressions. Like it was such a good mental picture for me that I am an expression of the Christ. And as you were saying earlier, I have an expression that nobody else has. You have an expression. Everybody has an expression that nobody else has. And energetically, we're all the Christ, which is why we're all co-creators, which is why we're all, all of these quantum beings and all of this amazing. Oh, I'm so overwhelmed with who and what we are.
Yeah.
But it like shifted things in such a powerful way for me. Like, understanding and trusting the God within me on a whole new level, that I get to let all of that stuff that I identified with, that I thought I was here, I get to let all of that go. And it's really just like Psalm 139, like our scroll was written out every single day before one ever existed. He already knew. We already knew. And it's like, now being free from all of that stuff, I really do get to just express and walk and enjoy on a whole new level.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got into that.
It goes so, yeah. No, thank you for painting that picture, because it goes so deep, and guess what? It's going to go deeper.
Yeah.
It's going to go further. It's going to,
yeah.
This stuff doesn't end. It doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like and we're just speaking from where we're at and wanting to highlight, hey, there's more. It's safe over here, because, I remember we both had this fear of deception of like, oh my gosh, because it was going outside of the mainstream church, or going outside of like even our families and those around us. And God was just like, I'm going to show you, you want more? I'm going to give you more. And it's a domino effect. He don't quit.
Yeah.
And I can't quit either, because I'm like him, and he's created me this way.
Yeah.
So this, I think like we're all bridges for each other. Yeah. We bridge the gap, because a lot of times, maybe there's some things that I can't hear from my family, but I could hear it from somebody else who doesn't know, or vice versa. We're each other's mirrors, and each other's vindication, each other's, there's another word, validation, I guess, just, yeah. whoever has ears to hear, eyes to see.
Mm-hmm.
But that can go in sway in the other way too, on an energetic frequency level. Maybe somebody have their beliefs here and they resonate here.
Mm-hmm.
We have our beliefs here, we resonate here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the fruit is what, you'll know them by their fruit. And that's always been consistent with um with with me. It's like, well, what's their character? And so I was going to tell you this morning, last night I was watching that Sasha Stone from that interview.
Yeah.
And he's connected to Charlie Ward and that President Eisenhower's granddaughter or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot her name. Well, it's, and then it's bringing up, the child trafficking. And I'm just like, why, when I want to go deeper, or I'm down to go deeper, that has to come up. And I'm like, I feel you on that. Nope, that's not my reality. Nope, I don't want to look at that. Like, I'm releasing that. That's not my reality, right? So there, I'll let go of that, but I won't even look at it. Yeah. I don't want to look at it,
That's one of those things. I love that this is happening. That doesn't mean that I agree with it or I'm in alignment with it, but my love never loses. Love always wins. Because I was like feeling scared to be able to like say I love this, that this is happening. Because really I'm like, oh, hell no. You know what I mean? Like, I don't love that. But if we're offering that unconditional love vibration, you know what I mean? Then that stuff, once it meets that, it has to come to an end. So I'm going to keep.
It's a different perspective. Again, it's not that license to sin. We're allowing them. We're looking the other way. No, we're bringing our energy that just usurps all of that. It just soaks that up. It affects it. We are powerful, but see, God wants us. It's that awakening process. My mentor, Gordon, I'm, Kendra, you were here this last week for my birthday, and we had an awesome week.
Yeah.
And we were listening to Gordon, and I didn't catch it because it was just a call between me and him. And I was learning this quantum grammar, learning the mechanics of it. And he's saying stuff that went way over my head back in January. And we're listening and we're like, oh my gosh, it was a portal. It was specific words that revealed this dimension. Yeah. And we were just like, what? So now it's taking us into this other realm. And essentially, what is it called? Primer fields. Primer field. And we were like, what is that? And it's basically so I had been getting revelation about the quantum field and the strange behavior. I don't mean strange bad, but strange cool, because how in the heck is this happening? So just to kind of give a little bit of a quantum field fun behavior. I was watching a TED Talk, and this guy, he was explaining how to explain the quantum field, quantum realm to a 7-year-old. So he uses balls as an example. So picture, a ball dropping into a pond, and it drops way down and the waves ripple. And then one of those ripples hits a stick and the ball pops out there. Well, that's kind of strange. It's like, where did that come from? It went down, or maybe you might bounce the wall to a window, catch it, bounce it, tap, catch, bounce, and it's on the other side of the window. Like, okay, decided to go on the other side of the window.
That makes me think of translocation.
Yeah.
That makes me think of like,
there's things that we don't fully understand, but they're studying, right? And there's another one, quantum tunneling, I believe. or quantum, there's words for it. And anyways, some atoms spin this way, some spin that way, and some spin both ways at the same time. How do you do that? Like how do you spin your bottom half and your top half? Like there's crazy behaviors. We have such limitations on our mind. And the quantum realm is blasting all that, like blasting all those walls. Like you can't not believe it because science proves it. So so I say that to explain, where was I going with that? What was I talking about?
Thanks, Holy Spirit.
So
Primer fields.
Oh, okay. So the primer field, it's like two donuts. One's flowing this way, one's flowing the other. So there's that opposite spinning, right? And that is what Nikola Tesla, the technology that would expand power to everybody. We have what's called free energy, but what does big corporation do? They come in and say, we're going to charge people for using this energy that they did not create and take a piece of everybody's, their resources so that they could have. So it's available for us. All these things are available for us. And well, our bodies are the same way. Our hearing is amazing. I have these new hearing aids that allows me to Bluetooth directly into my ears. So they're like headphones at the same time. And I'll listen to teaching at night and I'll listen to meditation just to keep listening. And I've been starting to go into dream states where I'm literally creating and experiencing what is being talked about. And it's happened to me twice. And I'm like, I felt like I literally just walked through that. But I've been having to change my hearing aid batteries. I used to, go 2 to 3 weeks without having to change it. Now it's like every couple of days. And I'm like, wow, our minds, our brains are electric. Yeah. So your hearing system, my hearing system, see, I separated that. Our hearing system is supercharged. Like there's a nuclear reactor in there. There's a self-sustaining. Where does that come from? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I don't think we realize how much power it takes to hear constantly, to see constantly, to turn on the voice box, to speak when we want to speak. The heart, oh, that's a whole nother level. Our brain, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've been dumbed down to these low energy, these low frequency. That book you were talking about, The Power versus Force, talks about the, shame and guilt is like 20, 30 at the frequency of 20 and 30, which has language, has expression, has an energy level there. Mm-hmm. And then so most of our society is like less than 200 because it's like, I should just grab that sheet. Let me grab
levels
that
of consciousness.
Levels of awareness, levels of understanding.
If you're talking, we can't hear you, love.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hearing about the levels of consciousness. And he was saying, because I was listening to a teaching yesterday, and he was saying like from the 1200s all the way up till 1980, the level of consciousness was like 170, 190. And then all of a sudden it jumped up to 210 or 207 or 210 for like the general level of consciousness. And I was like, whoa, how cool is that we were born? And that to me, I feel like kind of explains some of the generational rift that's between, the older generations that, you got to do it this way. And then the younger generations that are way different. Like we can't teach the same way we did in the 1950s. We are literally different, energetically, conscious levels different.
Yeah. I'm still here. I think I've uploaded this worksheet I just kind of wanted to show.
Maybe we could upload it to Candid Chicken, the Facebook group.
Yeah. So basically, this is what it looks like. So we have the map of consciousness. So she's talking about down here. So this is the God view. This is this is so backwards. Oh, the life view, the level. So you could see shame, guilt, and it calibrates at 20 and 30.
Yeah.
So your emotions are blame and humiliation. And the process is destruction, elimination. And so, and then your life view. Sorry, this is like so weird to like, okay, so, and then like you think God is vindictive, despising.
Yeah.
So basically this sheet has been able to help me frame up. Sorry, my phone is
really quick though. When you just said that, you said God view. If we've been taught that our God is vindictive, if we've been taught that our God does do that, then we're going to behave the way that our God does, our viewpoint of God, right? Mm-hmm. So then that is what we're identifying with, and that keeps us trapped at that level of consciousness. Consciousness. That's actually probably a better word, but I meant to say consciousness.
I love it. The consciousness, you know, for me, I have to look up words because I'm like, what do you mean by that? It's awareness, a level of awareness. And man, I got an awesome picture of that. It was me and my kids, and they were being loud. It was early in the morning, and they were being loud, and I was like, shh, you guys, remember our friends are here. What are they doing right now? They're like, they're sleeping, and they were sleeping in the other room. And I was like, do you think they want to keep sleeping? Or they're like, no. So that was awareness. They brought their mind to that bedroom to see, oh, they're sleeping. So in Kendra, you do this with all these noises, like what's going on? There's something communicating, right?
Yeah.
And for me, sometimes I remember I heard an atomic bomb go off, and I was like, what the heck was that? Like inwardly. Mm-hmm. I still don't know what that was, but you know, so there's different levels of hearing. Like it could have been, I don't know. Like anyway, so this is a great framework for understanding, like maybe, oh gosh, desire. I was like, dude, desire, fear. Yeah, I've got notes on here, but fear has an energy level of 100, and there's anxiety and withdrawal. You tend to withdraw.
Yeah.
You it's everything's frightening, threatening, and God is punitive, you know? And so but there was some,
I'm not gonna lie, looking at that and understanding, like, there's feelings coming up with it in me right now where I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling angry that that's being taught, traditions of man being passed down, and that's keeping the energy level of like humanity, Western Christianity, all of those, you know, lies that God is punitive, God, you know, needed this, like, that's hindering consciousness. That's hindering, you know. So I'm just going to choose to practice what I preach and say that I love that is happening. I love that there are so many people being duped right now. And I'm just going to let it fizzle on out. This is live. It's happening, people.
Again, it's not a license. It's not looking the other way. It's actually observing and seeing into that and transmuting the energy, because who's going to see? They can't really see. So we get to be that mirror reflection of what's going on and affect, because, you know, the tuning fork, if there's you have a C chord tuning fork, that's vibrating and this one isn't, it comes closer because they resonate the same. The vibration touches this one and they start vibrating together.
Yeah.
See, that's how powerful we are.
Yeah.
And like, I just get like, I go inward and I start to do it. See, I stop and it's like, I just went over to Brooklyn and just see, observe, because we are that powerful. Jesus affected the whole world. 2,000 years later, still we're talking about him. We're still confused about him. Some of us are, some of us aren't.
Yeah.
But
and it was said in that teaching that I was listening to, it said that like the level of humanity, the level of consciousness when Jesus was okay, there was two of them. So I hope I'm right in this. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure he was saying that the level of humanity, yeah, test it. The level of humanity's consciousness was like 75 when Jesus came on the scene, and Jesus was resonating at like 100, 110. So he was that far ahead. So when he was saying things, he was saying it and speaking it at a level that they could understand. And if we don't, which is why he was speaking in parables and all of that, because there were some, that were calibrating at a higher frequency, so they were able to catch it and understand and come on up. And he was speaking it, and it's the same, casting that vibrational net, that energy. And this is kind of like going in a different direction, but I've experienced that where other people, like when I get together with like Christina and I, when we get together and we're talking, if we're choosing to talk junk or like gossip over a person, our agreement comes together and casts that energy net over that person, and they get the choice, and then they can feel that. They can, they might not be aware of it, but a lot of times that's coming into agreement with the accuser of the brethren. And so we're now in alignment with the accuser, casting that energy net, and then they're already hearing it, feeling it, because I feel like we wouldn't be aware of it if it wasn't already within them. You know what I mean? The lies, the shame, the guilt, all of that. So then they can choose to identify with that. And I feel like that is the power of agreement in a negative way. We can also do that. And I feel like that's what prayer really is supposed to be about. Getting together and, mirroring a higher frequency, mirroring a higher vibrational thought. So when we get together and that person may be sick, but we're going to see them whole. We're going to see them healed. We're going to see them. And that's what we're going to do with our power of intention, with our power of, collapsing that particle from a wave or, sporadic, whatever, connecting it to reality here, and we're going to see that. Then they can choose, that blanket kind of covers them, and then something inside of them is like, yes, and then they can identify with that, and that brings them up.
It's an awareness. Monkey see, monkey do. My little Emma, if I would start cleaning, she'd grab one and start cleaning with me. Oh, I could do that. For me, as you were speaking about that was reminding me where I wanted to go with this levels of consciousness. These are calibrations here. And gosh, it's so weird to be backward. These are calibrations. So love calibrates at 500. And then I thought about this, that satisfaction calibrates at 250. And then satisfaction, I mean, I don't know if you've ever felt satisfied or content, and it's a great feeling, but there's levels beyond that.
Yeah.
And I felt the joy, the bliss, the ineffable, like you just can't put to word. That I get stuck there sometimes. I'm like, I feel that. And, slowly over time, like my brain starts to catch up, but, look at what ineffable the process is. Pure consciousness, pure awareness. Like you're aware where people are, you're aware that they just don't know yet. And then the emotion is overwhelming, and then you're just vibrating so high, you're enlightened, your life view is. And it's so crazy because the verb of thinking is or are, as I'm learning in the quantum grammar. And then the God view is self.
Yeah.
Self. Like God is in me. God and I are tight. We're one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Within me. And you know the framework. You know the boundaries. You know you're a king. You know you're a son. You know what I'm saying? You all those parts of you integrate. Like those fearful parts. I'm gonna love you back into me, and hug and be one in those areas that we may separate ourselves. So which this may be off topic, but it keeps coming back, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to speak on this. So this morning I had woken up at 5 a.m. and I was like, okay, I'm just going to go back to listening. Right, I was so fired up from last night learning about these primer fields, and then remind me to talk about the parables. So I was watching this video from that Sasha Stone guy, and he was interviewing this other couple, I think, and they are aware of this calibration. So apparently there's a frequency, like an emotion, and that view has a frequency level. So this is science. Well, they tested these gurus and these people that they had like their incarnation, I guess, and level in their birth, their relationship, how they view finances, their divine self, their personal growth. They have all these measurements, and some of them were, it was crazy how things calibrated, but so like, these levels of, up here, you would expect gurus to be up here. Some of them were resonating at 50. Like one of them was resonating at 50, which is apathy, hopeless, condemning. And I'm like, how is this person a guru? Like, how is this person, like, what is going on? Just 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. And then the percentages, and it was actually 100% ego. There's superior ego, there's the lower ego. And my thought, I'll have to look into it, but maybe the ego, understand the lower ego is like self-centered.
Yeah, like that protection, the fight or flight, right?
Well, the self-giving, selfish, or the ego that you've walked through the darkness, you've done the shadow work, you've walked through those areas where you're one, but that ego still is kind of that left brain reasoning. There's an ego part that isn't bad when you understand why it's not bad. So and it was at 100%. So this person was just in their what they came to earth to do, and they were a guru. And I was just, my mind was like, I don't understand, but I do understand because I've experienced people like that we don't think alike, our energies are off, and there's a clash or whatever. But in that, if you allow it could be one way. I thought it had to be both ways, but it could be one way where you can grow to allow that negative situation and that negative feeling produce a positive, because the negative times the negative is a positive answer.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, that changed my world. released a lot of pressure. That released me to not feel like I had to fix it or feel bad about going through what I was going through. And so that's essentially what triggers are. It's that negative feeling, that negative energy, this situation, drawing it out to produce a positive.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it had to be both ways. I thought for it to work, but you could grow. These situations you could grow within yourself.
Do you think that that is essentially the same thing as the whole loving it? Because with that negative situation that was there, like we were talking about, like with racism, right? So that's a negative situation. And it was bringing up that negative within me. And then I was like, nope, I choose to love it. And boom, there's a positive.
Yeah.
Is that what
Yes.
you're talking about?
Oh yeah, that's one way to look at it. See
Okay.
the science and then the heart language of it.
Yeah.
That's how I view it. You know, that love is that energy that, just releasing, like judging it, judging yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel bad for feeling this.
Yeah.
I felt bad for feeling bad.
Yeah.
Like, how does that work? Well, you're a multi-dimensional being. You're judging yourself within yourself. My ears, I didn't realize I was separating my ears. And so I started just including myself, that we all hear, we all, and then I'm also projecting hearing inwardly to everybody else. Like, you have ears to hear. See, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
That just made me feel all gooey gooey inside, to say that about my ears, because, it's just been one of those empty spaces to me, it felt like. And then I put my hearing aid on, then I feel whole, but then it's like, that never left.
Yeah.
That never leaves. That never turns on.
Yeah.
So, so I say that to say, the calibrations, like it's crazy, the strengths that people have. At least they were living 100% to their potential.
Yeah.
But the calibration's really low. And some people resonate at that level. Some people, I'm not sure. I don't fully understand that, but that leads me to the whole parable with my mentor, Gordon, when he was explaining. Yeah, we were talking about some deep stuff, but he talked about when Jesus talked in parables on purpose for those that could hear, because when you have the knowledge, you have duty. If you're not ready to receive and perform, do those things, you won't hear it. So there's growing through this system to be able to tap into this area, to sustain, to stay there. Because there's areas that I was like, dang, I got fear in that area. Oh, I can see this. Oh, I can see that. And it's just crazy how this sheet has really helped me to, I want to turn this up over here, because I've always seen it as an equalizer. I'm like, dude, I got strengths over here that are way up here, but then I feel really low here. Like, how do I bring that up? And this thing just really helped me with words, because I'm like, I don't have a word for. And so now that I have the word, I'm like, okay, now I can expound and go in there and explain things. So, so the parable, Jesus was speaking, how with my kids, I noticed, like, I would tell them something and I'm like, do you know what that word means? They're like, no. I was like, oh, how can they enter the realm with me if they don't even know what the word means? So Jesus did that on purpose. It was kind of veiled on purpose, because there's duty, because if you don't, there's consciousness. Yeah. Our conscious, oh, I should have done that, or I shouldn't have. And, so there's a lot of dynamics, and, doing our duty, but there's inner workings that God helps us to elevate our vibration so that we can do our duty. And I know that that's two different areas, but
well, I feel like that's like that story that I was saying, you know, yestermorrow. I don't really remember when it was, but once upon a time.
yeah.
I said, I always asked for those giftings because I wanted to set people free. I wanted to hear Holy Spirit's heart for people, and I wanted the gift of prophecy, and I wanted all of those things. And then I'm sitting in the church that day, and I hear for this woman, Holy Spirit says, tell her this, tell her this. And I was like, I don't want to tell her that. I don't want to get all in her business. I don't want her to know that I've been, like that I know the struggles, and that's when I was confronted with that. Well, you wanted this. Are you going to use it? Because it's that duty,
Yeah.
and I feel like Holy Spirit cares so much. He didn't want me walking around with shame, I didn't do it. Oh, I'm not good enough, or I failed, or you know what I'm saying? So I feel like it broke me free because, when I did speak, she was just, in tears and, thank you so much. And it's gone the other way too, you know,
Mm-hmm.
hey, just so you know, and you're a witch, and how did you know what the sorcery, and all those things. Well, whatever, right? It's all growing, it's all learning, and it's lovely. I've just really come to this place where it doesn't matter the expression that's coming up against me, because at some point, I think Jim and Brandy said it like in such a way that we've been all things. There's been times where my thoughts have made me be a murderer. There's been times where, I've been the lying accuser. There's been times that I've been, XYZ. So when I'm aware of that and I don't have all those inner judgments, I can look at things clearly. And I'm like, whoa, that's right. So I can now have compassion, and
Yeah.
I can really come as Jesus sent me, as love. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I put on all of those veils. I did all of those things knowingly. And I didn't realize that even in mothering, I was still kind of doing it. Well, I don't want Aurora to know that. I don't want Aurora to know that because I don't want that to hinder blah, 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 because I'm judging other people's walks. I was judging my walk. I'm judging the veils that she chose to put on. Like, God knew where she was going to be born, to whom she was going to be born to, and all of these things. And it's like, oh, I feel bad, I messed up the rest of her life. No, Sharon, no. You know what I mean? Like, it's part of the process. It's part of that. So now she's going to carry keys and freedoms for not only herself, but she's, for other people and generations. And just think all of the things that I walked through, like, I can now look at them and truly say thank you. Like, I'm grateful because I understand. It gives me that greater level of compassion for my fellow brethren,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that I just keep seeing shine. Just shine your light.
Yeah.
You shine by um knowing who you are, like understanding what you are, drawing those energies. I remember when I saw Jesus when he died on the cross, but I kept seeing, like, how did you become sin? How did you who knew no sin became sin?
Yeah.
How? I wanted to know. I'm like, that doesn't, what was it? Like, you allowed their thoughts in, like, and you felt it? What does that mean? Well, part of that, I feel like, these situations, and I remember DJ King, he's like, just, that's free energy. Just soak it in, because you have the power to transmute it. It's
Yeah.
free energy. But that shining pushed on the people that, I mean, it triggered everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all kinds of stuff was surfacing. But he showed up in a way. So I'm like, okay, is that worded wrong? Maybe do a word study, because I felt like I was seeing it and I'm kind of having trouble connecting to the words. And
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe I need to look into that and bring closure.
Yeah.
So I'll do that by next week, and I'll continue this. So to be continued on that part, he who knew no sin became sins, or so that we could be righteous. So like it's like it's almost like a perspective. They looked at him like, you're blasphemy. They were judging him. He allowed those judgments to kill him. But then it looks like he knew on the inside. See how multidimensional this is? On the inside, he knew, can't kill me, bro. Like it's all good. I love you. You're just going through an adult temper tantrum, and said a sarcastic comment because it was Psalms 22 or 23.
Yeah. 22, I believe.
22. It was the last line. And you know what's interesting? When you autograph your name, you are, I believe you're responsible for everything written above your name, kind of like, so he made a statement to look at everything above it, look at what was there, because he highlighted this part. Where did that come from? So I could see there's he was being funny within all of that, referencing this and what was done and where his mind was.
Yeah.
And it was for the healing, the wholeness, and projecting that, shining. There's just so many things in that right now that I'm just getting whacked on. But we're at like 111. 1 hour 11 minutes. I swear I looked a second ago, it was 104, and then it was 107. So like this time is just,
it went super fast.
Yeah. So anyways, did you want to say anything, any closing words for us on this inner judgment?
It is finished. No, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
Just know that you're good. You're judged righteous. You're perfect. You're holy. I love you.
Yeah. Amen. All right. Until next week, we'll see you guys soon. Have a good week.